And welcome to another exciting episode of the Comic Book Chronicles. I am your host, Roddykat. You can find me at Roddykat on Twitter. You can find me at NewsNurseNeed on Twitter. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram.
South Carolina with Columbia down the way.
You got that sound effects that you have just heard come from none other than our man in Brooklyn, @1agent_70 on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads.
What's up, everybody? Co-hosting from the Borough of Kings. We're a day late, but we have good reason for it.
I'm just a kid from Brooklyn.
I was going to also offer a Go Brooklyn if I had pulled that but I did not. So it's fine. But you can find this here podcast on the Coastal Podcast Network. That's ESPN.us.
Do it today.
You could also find this podcast on your podcast browser place of choice, whether it be Google Play, Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Coastal Podcast Network SoundCloud page.
Make sure to click like, subscribe, and leave us all positive 5-star reviews, especially on Apple Podcasts.
We, as Agent 7 said, are here a day late and probably a couple of dollars short at this point. A couple of days before the new year. This is the last show of this year, 2023. Thank goodness.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? I find myself saying this more and more, especially in the recent years. But yeah, 2023, go away now.
Yes. Bye-bye. We don't want you anymore. And with that, we have no shortage of things to talk about, as per usual. I was going to actually make a joke about us doing our year-end wrap-ups, but I feel like that rarely ever happens anymore.
Right.
Despite
Right. It's hard to get the Voltron to form nowadays, so and that includes just coordinating all of our efforts together.
Pretty much. So it's kind of that thing as being that thing. But nevertheless, you have us. We're here, and if we end up doing that sometime after the new year, we'll see how it happens, if it happens or not. But right now, what's that?
I said exactly.
But right now, we are going to talk a little about Marvel's What If, because it's since the last time we recorded, there have been a few more shows.
Right.
In fact, was it like 7 of them at this point, right? 7 or 8?
8 total, and we, when we recorded our previous episode, which was a little bit after we normally record. We didn't record on a Thursday last week, did we?
I feel like we actually did.
We did.
Oh, wait, hold on. Actually, maybe we didn't. I don't think we did, actually.
Right. Point being that I think by that point we had gotten 2 episodes in. Now we are 8 episodes in, so we've gotten an additional 6, and thus with those 6 additional episodes, I think Roddykat has not gotten up to our last current episode, which aired earlier today. So I will, without mentioning anything about that episode, which aired today, I will say that overall, I appreciate what they're doing with the What If. I still think that they are having fun with it. They're definitely, getting some chuckles in when they can. I appreciate that they did, in fact, introduce a brand new MCU-only hero character in the course of this season of What If, which is not unheard of in the pages of What If. We have gotten What If, brand new characters out of What If issues in the comics before, so it stands to reason that we would also get new MCU characters out of the MCU animated What If. The second season of What If follows in the footsteps of the first season in that there are a few interconnected stories that, there are a few ways that each story interconnects with each other. I think that's the best way to put it. So I like it. I know that I think I saw something on the socials that A friend of the show, William Bruce West, is not a fan of the animation per se, but I have no problems with the animation. I think, because it's different, I get a kick out of it. It's got this kind of weird 3D texturing to it, then I think that's probably what some, if they do find it off-puts them, so, or is off-putting to them. But I ultimately like it. I like the story. And I won't hesitate to say this again, and I'll hand it off to Roddykat with this. I love the fact that they're able to get mostly all of the actors back from the MCU, with some notable exceptions, namely Chris Evans, Scarlett Johansson, and Robert Downey Jr. But other than those three, they have had a pretty good track record of bringing back the voice actors from the movies, to be the voice actors in the animated shows, in the animated What If, that is.
Right. Right. Excuse me. Sorry. Do some checking. So you mentioned the new character in the MCU, and that is everything you said about that was true. I also suspect that from this character is probably going to end up in the books at some point, because that's kind of how things have happened.
I would not be surprised.
Yeah, and because I was thinking about that, I was watching. I'm like, yeah, this character, which is not bad, because the character, is not bad. Now we still need to see what they're going to do with this character, right? Which we have kind of. I feel like, given what we know about this season, it feels like the connection is going to happen sooner rather than later. Now, whether this character kind of comes up to, let's say, current times, then we did that part. We don't know yet. But other than that, I've been also enjoying the season as it is. And like Agent Center said, I didn't have a chance to see the tonight's or today's rather, but it'll happen. So how many do we have left? Actually, I guess that is the question.
I do not know,
because I know they said there's. Wait, I think they said 13. Did they say 13? I will check that out very quickly.
We are all doing it.
Yeah,
we're all doing it.
Because I thought
9 episodes. There's only one more.
Oh, so it's 9 episodes? Okay.
Yeah. So tomorrow's the last episode.
Okay. Well, man, maybe we should have pushed this till. We should have pushed it to.
It's all right, because at the end of the day, with our first show in the new year, we'll be able to talk about What If as a whole. Right, and our favorites from the season. Right. And I'm also and I'm seeing what the next episode is titled. So interesting. Okay. You mean tomorrow's episode? Yes. Gotcha. So okay, which that makes sense, because that was a part that I figured would have come in this week's, which might have been the case. I don't know. I haven't seen it. Shout out to Benji Games 2 who comes in. How's it doing? Hope you had a good holiday. Hope things have been good for you. Yes. What was I going to say? There was something else I was going to say about What If, but it's probably not as important, and I'm pretty sure it will be revisited by next week. That being said, though, I don't know. Like in season, the Agent 70 and I were talking about the yearly Christmas viewing of Die Hard, and seems like we got 2 of them in a way because of one episode of Good. Yeah, because of an episode early on. Which of What If of What If that was heavily influenced by Die Hard in the best possible ways. So there was some good stuff in that, including shouted out a couple of times. So you can't go wrong with that. That being said, I think we're done with What If. Yep. And we can talk about Monarch. Yes, 8 to 70 is going to talk about, because I did not have a chance to
watched this week's episode yet, and he has. So it's all on him for that one.
Right. So ultimately, because Roddykat will absolutely catch up with this episode sometime today, tomorrow, later today, tomorrow, over the weekend, I'm not going to spoil it. I will say, though, that the way this episode ended was most certainly a cliffhanger and made me sit up and say, wait a second, it's episode 8, I believe, of 10, which gives us 2 more episodes of Monarch story to be told. And I really appreciate, and I cannot say enough about this series. I really appreciate the storytelling here. And I think the acting is top notch. I've never seen the actress that plays Dr. K. Miura before, but she's excellent. The actor that plays Bill Randa is also very good. And I give Kurt Russell a lot of credit for just being kind of like a very muted jerk face in this show. Right? It's very muted. He's not like an overt jerk face, but it's there. And it comes out on occasion, and it's very amusing.
Yeah, I think I said I might have even said during the course of the show, but I know when we were talking about it behind the scenes, that he pretty much sounds like an older version of his character Jack Burton from Big Trouble in Little China, and it still kind of feels that way to me. So as potentially problematic as that movie kind of might still be at this point, I don't know, but I still love that movie, so I'm not mad at it. Some would say it's Kurt Russell being Kurt Russell, but I'm not. Sure. Or Tango and Cash, actually, because now that I think about it, Tango and Cash, he was kind of a similar jerk in a way. But nevertheless, still got some good Kurt Russell going on in here. Like I said, even if I have not seen this current episode. With that, we're going to push on to, I guess, what did we say? The books at this?
Books of the week.
Mm-hmm. And we're going to start off with, Timeless 2023, number 1.
Timeless 2023 or 2023-2024 is written by Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly, with art by Juan Cabal, colors by Edgar Delgado, and letters by VC's Travis Lanham. So in the tradition of these timeless issues over the last, 3 years, maybe 4? Has it been 4 years already?
That sounds about right. Might have been definitely 3. I'm not sure if it's 4.
This might be the 4th. This might very well be the 4th version of Timeless. And the ongoing motif here is that there is a way that the future year and change worth, 1 year's worth and change worth of storytelling is basically laid out with in very broad strokes, in a very in a way to tease what's happening without giving us an exact roadmap. And the storytelling, the way they frame this particular story is very interesting, because it involves future versions or old man versions of characters we have not yet seen, like in the pages of Old Man Logan, for example. We have not seen these characters in those old man stories. So it's very interesting to see what these writers foresee in store for these characters. And I'll hand it off to Roddykat.
Yeah. So one, I just found out this is the 3rd one, actually.
Oh, so this is the 3rd. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we've had 2 by Jed MacKay before?
Correct.
Got it.
Then, yes. And I'm kind of wondering if that is going to be the thing. It's like, okay, they're going to hand it off to to a new person or new people every couple of years or so. I don't know. But regardless, yeah, there are some interesting tidbits in here. I think Agent 70 might have mentioned, so I apologize. I was kind of halfway listening because I was looking at something. But definitely the whole like, hey, well, here's some things that are going to happen during the course of the year. Like I know he said that, but also there's a couple of things that are going on at this particular point right now. Like at least two things in there were like stuff that's happening in the next issue of two books that are coming. Which, granted, still counts as the future, but it was still kind of weird to see them.
Yeah, it's the very near future. It's probably because it only, I think, seems that way to us because it's like we're literally at the cusp of the new year. So it makes sense that they would include that because even if the book is dropping next week, it still counts as being part of, the future of Marvel, at least in the next year.
Right. And when these books were done, were probably a couple of months ago, and along with the couple of books that have it that way. So yeah, it kind of stands to reason. It's not a thing that's bothering, but it was just something that's noticeable. So I was kind of curious. Which realistically, in the last couple of them, I'm still kind of wondering if a couple of them from that last one still hasn't come about from the last Jed McCabe one, because I'm still kind of curious about that. But regardless, there are some interesting ones of which we will, if you haven't read it, this would be spoilers for. In fact, there's some news that I put in that will probably be spoilers for that later on, so I probably won't save that for then. But regardless, a couple of interesting things that I won't go into. But there was a couple of them was like, wait, what is going on here? Especially because there was a thing with the FF, with the panel that they were doing. Right. There was a panel with Miles that was kind of curious, and I'm not sure if they had anything to do with the surrounding panels, which had to do with an event that is coming up, if I remember correctly. So
I saw something that was very reminiscent of Civil War, and I thought,
yes,
oh wait, that might be Ultimates.
Ooh, yeah, I didn't think about that. Like if they're going to do
that, I was just kind of like, oh, that might be an Ultimates.
One, I kind of hope, but also kind of don't, because my thing was, oh god, not another Civil War, especially with these two. But now that you say that, it could be something from the Ultimates universe. That makes a little bit more sense. I still kind of don't want it, but since it's there and not in the 616. I'll allow it because it's not happened. Well, it probably has happened, but I don't remember it if it did. Right. So yeah, that makes a little bit more sense than them doing another Civil War here, because I don't think the last one was that well received. I know we didn't care too much about it.
Right.
So for whatever that amounts to. But yeah, like I said, if you what
happened to that character that could tell the future? Like, yeah, whatever.
Right. Yeah, that was the crux of. Yeah, we've not seen no hair of that Joker, which I feel like they probably dealt with him in some sort of way where we might, somebody will dig him up in the next 50 years or something. I don't know.
Right.
But yeah, so that's
because Civil War 2 was their favorite crossover event. Right. Because that's how it works.
Right. Or, I don't know, Hickman like, hey, we're doing this again, but we're flipping it to something that's actually good.
With one jumbo thrown in.
Right. We're going to retcon all of that and throw this in here. I mean, some seasoning, some flavor, if you will. But yeah, that was Timeless 2023-24 number one. I'm still going to call it 2023 because that's when it came out. Because I think the other ones were timed on the year that they came out with. So
got it. I always look at it as it's a bridge into the new year. So.
It is, yeah. So
but it makes sense. It makes sense how the whatchamacallit, that they don't number it so that people don't get confused. But the publication date clues us in as to when, what time, when it's supposed to apply. So, but in any event,
yeah, but I still hate it.
What's that?
Yeah, but I still hate it because, like we said earlier, it's like, yeah, like come on, come on,
President Bartlett, let's move it along.
What's next?
All right.
Next up is we're going to get into some Gang War stuff with Deadly Hands of Kung Fu, Gang War number 1.
Deadly Hands of Kung Fu Gang War #1 is written by Greg Pak, with art by Kaio Mahado, colors by Jim Campbell, and letters by VC's Travis Lanham. So, in this crossover story, we get some back what was once background music or noise in the pages of Spider-Man more fully fleshed out, because we see the factions that are duking it out on the borders of Chinatown in Manhattan, and the Five Weapon Society and the other groups, including Mr. Negative's group, as well as what's the other group? The Vampires?
The Vampire Nation is what I've seen.
Right.
But
Right. I know there are a bunch of vampires that hang out near Chinatown. I forgot if they had a name. I mean, I could always pull up the book, because I think they refer to them by the leader's name. But the bottom line is we get some insight into that, and there is some infighting in the ranks of the Five Weapon Society, which is not nothing new. This seems to be the going storytelling mechanism that they've used to illustrate how the underlings that Shang-Chi has inherited are not necessarily in the business of being do-gooders. You have Spidey and the gang war jump in to help illustrate that, and we have some fun background stories being told about Wenwu teaching Shang-Chi certain things. Ultimately, though, this is something that Roddykat and I discussed in our pre-production meeting. Ultimately, though, what we get in this issue is a way to make the playing field more level when it comes to Shang-Chi taking on the characters and general henchmen and henchwomen that will be running around during New York City's gang war. We're talking about making him less powerful, and you can kind of think that there's something that has made him a lot more powerful that is very much MCUification that they have to deal with to make things more street level for Shang-Chi in this miniseries.
Yes. Yeah. There's really not much to say. Because, matter of fact, this is probably going to be similar with the rest of these gang war books. But yeah, I don't really have much else to say about Deadly Hands of Kung Fu, so that's pretty much that.
All right, next up.
What's next?
Next is Miles, right?
That is the case.
Miles Morales, Spider-Man #14, is written by Cody Ziegler, with art by Federico Vicentini, colors by Brian Valenza, and letters by VC's Corey Petit. I will hand this very quickly off to Roddykat, but I will start off by saying that this issue is chock full of guest stars, and it's just a mishmash of guest stars as the gang war starts to heat up in the pages of Miles. And I'll hand it off to Roddykat.
Yeah. So, I slightly enjoyed this book because of that, but at the same time, it's still a gang war tie-in. It's like, okay, yeah. So here's what Miles and his folks are doing. So on one hand, we got old Uncle Prowler sending some folks after Miles, but also Miles getting into a fight with the what they call them, the Cape Killers,
right?
Those enforcing the anti-vigilante law that is still ongoing.
Like, they're still going on. They're still like that. These Cape catchers, Cape Killers are only active in the pages of Miles,
right? So, yeah, because we don't really see it much in other places. So it's like, oh, okay, sure. But then, so we got that, and we got Miles, Misty, and Colleen kind of doing their thing against them before, things change over. So there's a lot going on in this issue, as Agent 70 said. It's like weirdly a lot for a gang war tie-in. So we got Hobgoblins doing some stuff. Like I said, we got this stuff over here with the Cape Killers and the Enforcers and whatnot. There was a part that tickled me that is basically when we see Peter and Jen talking to Miles, and then we have this other faction that's talking to somebody on these holographic phones, and they're just kind of sparring with each other on these holographic phones. That was kind of funny to me. I'm like, where did they get these phones from? Like, there's some Stark Tech that they didn't know.
I got a kick out of it because essentially what it is they're pointing their phones at each other and doing FaceTime, Skype, you know?
Right. But in this case, they just have holograms instead of just actually pointing the phone. So I was like, that's some funny mess. So, and of course, there was some wrestling jargon in there. I was like, okay, now I might have to stop reading this book. But the end of this issue was the one where I had the most questions about, because things have happened in the last couple of months with a certain character that shows up here. And I was like, wait, did Miles not know that they were back? I could have sworn that they were back around again, but he seemed genuinely surprised about.
We'll find out more in the next issue, I think.
Right. So I was like, was that a thing, or is this the first time he's actually realizing that that's a thing? So, regardless, like I said, it was a good issue. Just a whole lot going on for a Gang War tie-in that's not, Peter's book,
right?
So, lastly, in the Gang War territory, we have Spider-Woman #2.
Spider-Woman #2 is written by Steve Fox, with art by Carola Borelli, colors by Arif Prianto, and letters by VC's Joe Sabino. So I need to actually pull this issue up because I do not remember very much of what happens here. So if you want to pick this up, Roddykat, please do.
Sure. After the events of last issue, Jen's been on the hunt for, in her insertion into Gang War, she's pretty much going after Diamondback, which if for those that have been around Marvel Comics for a good while, you may or may not recognize that there's been a couple of them. One of which dated one Steve Rogers.
Right, that's the Serpent Society Diamondback.
Correct.
So this is the Luke Cage related character Diamondback.
Correct. So that being said, that was still like, wait, which one we talk? Either way, that was the thing that tickled me because like, we did see that one recently in another book, in the other one. So it's not like the other one's not around, but it is what it is. But regardless, people are making plays for various areas of New York still. Diamondback being one of them. Jess is kind of on his trail because they have history and beef. And we also, and I can't remember if this was because I read both issues back to back, or I reread the first issue, I should say, back to back. I suspect that there is a character that was introduced in the last issue and going into this one that just goes up against. That's going to be someone very familiar to her, just aged up. I have a sneaking suspicion of that.
Okay. Because
just before Gang War happened, or she got brought into Gang War, she was looking for someone.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, I think she still is while she's doing this. But I'm thinking those two things are going to intertwine in a way. Don't ask me how I know that outside of comics, but I feel like that is the thing that they would do in this case. Also,
is it the character that rhymes with La Bamba?
Yep. That's the one.
Oh my god!
Rest in peace, Kobe. But yeah, we got a cameo by the OG.
I thought you were going to
Nightshade.
say rest in peace, Richie Valens too.
Well, sure, I could say that too, but yeah. But in relation to the character, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we got a cameo from the OG Nightshade, who's kind of floating around, and her niece.
Right. That was a development from the pages of, I want to say, Black Panther.
Well, her being around, yes, but the
character change.
Yes, but the legacy character is, I think, they pointed to Marvel Voices, but I've seen that character, but I feel like I've seen that character showed up as that someplace else also. So Or just give it the Marvel voices.
I know that Nightshade has come out as kind of handing it off as a legacy mantle in the pages of Black Panther, and I don't recall reading that issue of Voices. So, okay,
right. So, no, I'm not sure. That's the thing. Like, try to do some things here and there for older characters. Either point them out or make some use of them, one way or the other. But regardless, that's pretty much what we've got going on. And of course we got Hydra, Diamondback's running around with Hydra, so therefore Madam Hydra's around, and that's also another old Spider-Woman villain. So she's got her hands full, getting into things. And that's pretty much it for the gang war territory. And I think, we'll keep it at that. Because I know we still have some books in common that will be hit in rapid fire.
Yeah.
But actually, you know what? No, I want to call attention to one other book, since it's probably about to end anyway.
Go ahead.
Well, since it is going to end anyway.
Right. It's going to end in the next issue.
Yep. Let me pull the cover over while we're doing this. Avengers Inc. number 4.
Avengers Inc. number 4 is written by Al Ewing with pencils by Leonard Kirk, colors by Alex Sinclair, and letters by VC's Corey Petit. So this, as Roddykat just mentioned, is... Well, he didn't exactly say this, but we both know this to be true. This is the penultimate issue of this series. Al Ewing was smart enough to set up a 5-issue arc. And I presume that's why this book is canceled after the 5th issue, so that they have exactly 5 issues to put into a trade paperback. Bottom line, though, is that its cancellation is a shame, because this book is so well written. It's Al Ewing, after all. And I like how the characters are just very much... I don't know about the characterization so much, but also we have not been with a particular character that is featured in this issue or these issues for a long time. Some things have happened maybe a little off screen or off the page that are made more clear here in this issue. And I will say that ultimately, I just think this story is just, so well written, in the sense that the characters are just interacting with each other, like almost jumping off the page. Their dialogue is almost jumping off the page. And I had a lot of fun reading this issue. And I'll hand it off to Roddykat.
Yeah, so this is a potential Kliq of the week for me. And I think if I'm reading Agent 70 right about the off-screen stuff, it might be the stuff that came from, once again, Al Ewing written the Ant-Man miniseries.
Yes.
Yeah. So Agents, I know Agent 70 didn't read that, but I did. Now, even with that, there is a part of that revelation that did kind of seem like, wait, I read that whole thing, and I don't remember that one particular part that gets revealed here happening, but I can see where it makes sense here. So that might be a thing. I'm actually kind of surprised it didn't tie in the Wasp mini, which is also written, Al Ewing also written. But so I kind of wondered from that Ant-Man series that whether something was going to come back, but at the same time, we knew from the Wasp series that we were getting this book. So that all kind of makes a whole lot of sense. That being said, going back to what Agent 70 said about the 5-issue arc, I kind of wonder. So I know writers had gotten into a point in the last few years to, and I don't know if Al Ewing was subject to this or not, but they pretty much have to write, themselves their ending because they don't know how the book is going to last. Mm-hmm. Or they end up doing that. And I think that might be more of the case here than that's just how he wanted to end it.
Right.
But we don't know that for certain. But to me, it kind of feels like that, knowing that the book is going to end. And he just kind of shuffled to the script that he had getting to that point. So I don't know. Maybe I'm giving a little bit too much credit, but I know that is a thing that writers have had to do. That has, well, some writers have done. Put it that way in the past few years because of not knowing how long the book is going to last, and just going ahead and having that part hashed out. You know, and it's just a matter of getting from here to there, and or padding out from here to there, or whatever the case may be. So that being said, yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I'm going to miss this book. The revelations that we had in this book, I'm like, that's interesting.
Right.
Where are we going to go with it now that this book is going to go, if anything? Like, I don't know if the next issue is just going to say, oh, nope, this is that. We'll take care of that off the board. Or if this is going to show up someplace else, or some of this is going to show up someplace else. So, don't know. Regardless, good stuff. I hate to see this book go. And that being said, I guess we can go ahead and go into the rapid fires.
Rapid fire reviews.
I ain't got time to breathe.
First up for me is Titans Beast World number 3 of 6. It's written by Tom Taylor with art by Lucas Meyer, colors by Romulo Fajardo, and letters by Wes Abbott. We're halfway through this Beast World, miniseries and event, and the heroes are really no closer to figuring out a way to stop what's going on with. I don't want to necessarily spoil it, but we're 3 issues in. I don't know if Roddykat's ever going to pick this up, but he has a very general idea of what the premise here is that Gar Logan, a.k.a. Beast Boy, has basically taken on the characteristics of Starro the Conqueror and has basically created little Starros, or what they call Garros. Oh, gosh. To infest the world. But what ends up happening is that these little Garo starfish get swallowed by superpowered people, and they become animals. One of the quirks here is that the starfish, or the garfish, are jumping from human to superhuman to try to get more powerful. That's, kind of a little tweak that is in this particular story. Ultimately, though, what's interesting to me is that the story is being told very much with an idea towards developing more power for Amanda Waller. So we'll see how this goes going forward. Next up is Black Panther number 7. I believe Roddykat read this also. It's written by E.L. Ewing with pencils by Chris Allen and Mac Chater. Inks by Craig Young and Mac Chater, just like Uniblab. Colors by Jesus Bertov and letters by VC's Joe Sabino. So what's interesting here is that one of, I forget which character breaks it down to T'Challa, that he needs to be more ingrained in the workings and day-to-day living of the people of Birnin T'Chaka. And with that, he's able to figure out what's going on, because the very first part of this issue is a direct continuation of the previous issue, and things don't go exactly the way T'Challa wants them to. And because that happens, he is even more sought after, even more on the run than he was at the beginning of this whole story, now that he is kind of persona non grata in Wakanda. Anything to add?
Yeah, the character that you're speaking of is I believe he's a lawyer character. I believe his name is Niobe or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, that is the one. So, and that part was kind of funny to me because it kind of reminded me of a MCU Steve Rogers getting in his list.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that was like, okay, no, so you need to do this, get this, like Trouble Man. And he didn't say Trouble Man, but but that kind of situation felt like what's the thing?
Star Wars.
Yes, exactly. So, Yeah, have you seen this one? No, you got to get around another place, which makes sense. I also said, I think I said in my notes, it was that plus a little bit of Batmaning, because Batman's in a situation he knows the layout of the place because preparation or whatever. But I'm still sticking to the Captain America thing. Anyway,
gotcha. All right, next up is Captain Marvel #3. It's written by Alyssa Wong with art by Ruriri Coleman and Jan Bazaldua. Colors by Brian Valenza, and letters by VC's Ariana Marr. We're getting more information as to how the new version of the Captain Marvel / civilian character, this time it's played by a new character. The Rick Jones is played by a new character who is kind of a ne'er-do-well. She's she's a thief of mystical items. And that leads us to kind of a crossover with not just the old trope. It's kind of a trope. We've seen it in the Marvels movie of clanging bands together to switch places. But we also have a connection to magic here. And if you're in the magic realm or the magic corner of the Marvel Universe, who do you call? Doctor Strange, and now Clea Strange as well. And both of those characters make an appearance in this issue. So it's kind of fun just to see Clea and Stephen Strange, interacting with the greater Marvel Universe in other comics. So I'll give this, this series some more run to see where this goes, because it's kind of interesting that they would resurrect this particular story idea, of clanging the nega bands together, because that was never part of Carol's run as Captain Marvel. But because of the movie, it's definitely a hint of MCUification. But there's no Kamala in sight. That's the difference. Next up is Immortal X-Men #18. It's written by Kieron Gillen with art by Juan Jose Rip, colors by David Curiel, and letters by VC's Clayton Cowles. I believe Roddykat read this book too. All I'll say in this issue is that we finally get some idea of what Mother Righteous, how her story not ends, but how her little reign of terror ends. But we still will have to see how the group that she has been, working with or kind of tailing or kind of tagging along with, the group of mutants that left Krakoa, how they are all going to try to figure out how to leave the White Hot Room.
Yes, and much to Agent 70's chagrin, it seems to be all up to Destiny.
Oh, can I tell you, I groaned every time they had her do something in this issue. Freaking Destiny.
I loved it because as soon as I saw it, I was like, yeah, he's gonna have some time with this. So yeah, we do get to know what Mother Righteous's deal with. She's pretty much been playing a fairly long con during the course of this Sins of Sinister, and I guess some would argue Hoxpox in general, but I'm not that part is not entirely sure, but definitely since Sins of Sinister and whatnot. And just like Miles, I guess we do have a couple of things going on, because we have that part going on, and then on the other side of that, which seems to be coming from the other way, we have Xavier, and I'm calling Shadow Sinister, kind of breaking into Muir Island to get some information on seemingly the same thing that that Mother Righteous is trying to get to. So I'm only assuming that and that whole thing with Jean and the miniseries and where the mutants are and everything is kind of playing into all of that. And there was a revelation at the end that there is another, and not a Skywalker, a Sinister that is floating around. But I think they've been kind of talking about that, and I think we even questioned about who or what that might be in the past, but it's never really shown itself until I guess the next issue or wherever it's going to show up. So, and it seems to be if I read that right, seems to be a little bit more AI focused.
Mhm.
So that's not going to be good to have if it's an AI Sinister floating around. The actual Sinister was bad enough, and these other there's other 4 that's been floating around. So an AI one is definitely not going to be good.
Yeah, and AI Sinister will be that much more annoying.
Exactly.
Because they have written Sinister out to be, he used to be literally Sinister back in like the Sylvester Claremont days when he was first introduced. He's not so sinister, he's just annoying now.
Yeah, kind of. So, I don't want to say he's a joke because he's still kind of a threat, but still kind of a joke in a way.
He's more annoying than anything.
Right.
So, and listen, minor annoyances added up over time can be major pains in the neck. I wanted to circle back very quickly to Black Panther.
Okay.
Because at the end of Black Panther number 7, we get cameo appearance on the cliffhanger page of a character from the X books that I did not expect to see.
So I'm glad you mentioned that, because I had it in my notes, and also was referenced in Timeless, by the way, that this was going to happen. So yeah, as soon as the last name of that person came up, I should have put 2 and 2 together.
I didn't.
I didn't either.
I had to flip back and be like, oh.
I was like, oh, freak, right. That is that person's last name. I was like, what? Because I was like, wait, what is she doing? Oh, right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So anyway, getting back to Rapid Fire. Next up for myself, but I know that Roddykat read this also, is Sensational She-Hulk number 3. It's written by Rainbow Rowell with art by Andre Genole, colors by D. Cuniff, and letters by our favorite lettering paisan, VC's Joe Caramagna. So I love that Rainbow Rowell has gotten a chance to continue to write She-Hulk. I still hate the fact that they have rebooted this series a couple of times, because we're literally just picking up right where she left off in the previous volume, including these annoying characters who want to be Gamma and try to perfect the whole human being Gamma formula. I'm like, what? These annoying people, right? But at the same time, I get it. This is not an unheard of storyline, a type of story being told where, these characters, whether or not they're truly villainous or not, gain their powers because they're trying to mimic what happened to a previous group of character, a previous character that became a hero, i.e., or no, let's say e.g., for example, the UFOs, right? We're basically dealing with another version of the UFOs. The UFOs wanted to undergo the same cosmic ray bombardment that gave the Fantastic Four their powers, but they, these were not exactly the nicest of people. So this is another version of the UFOs. I will say that the best part of this issue was the part with the Hulk, who we're not sure exactly what type of influence Banner has in this version of the Hulk right now, but between the Hulk and She-Hulk, I particularly enjoyed the interactions that the two of them had with each other.
Right. They had a little heart-to-heart.
Right. Anything else to add?
Yeah, outside of the fact that they had a little heart-to-heart with each other, which was pretty much the end of the majority of this book, with the exception of that first part where, I didn't think about the UFOs part with this, but it's definitely, I see where you're coming from with that, because basically the beginning part was like, hey, these people are still here. And as Agent 70 said, this is the thing, like, the continuation of Rainbow Rowell's story is not nothing new, because they did the same thing with like Silk, and Silk is probably the most recent one. I think they also did it with Spider-Gwen a couple of times. Right. So,
right.
So that is a thing that's been going on, which is, good and bad, whatever. But we did get this new Hulk that we got that is apparently going away from the original mission. As Agent 70 kind of alluded to. It was like, they wanted to do this, but one didn't get it and the other one did. And now one's kind of running amok and the other wants to try to help them. And that's not going well at this point. So, and now there's just shuffling out. So the rest of the issue is the heart-to-heart between Jen and the Hulk. So,
right. And that is a heck of a villain code name.
Yes.
That they come up. I was like, really?
Right. I'm like, oh, okay. So that was pretty much the crux of that part of the issue. It was like they just wanted to put that out there, and then before they get into, the Hulk stuff.
Am
Right.
anti. Right. That's essentially what she's called herself. She's the anti.
Right. I'm like,
but anyway.
Yeah, no, you're not. But okay, sure. Anyway, keep going.
I'm the anti-Hulk. Right. That's essentially what what that stands for. Right. Last but not least, for me, is X-Force number 47. It's written by Benjamin Percy with art by Daniel Picciotto, colors by Guru EFX. Not Kuru, it's Guru EFX. That's a bad typo by me. And letters by our favorite lettering Python, VC's Joe Caramagna. X-Force in this issue is regrouping. They are getting ready to set up a base for the mutants that are left on Earth. Wolverine has found his way to the team. Well, actually, the team has found Wolverine. And bottom line, they are trying to put together a new version of X-Force to try to fight back against the forces of Orcus and all the other people that are looking to snuff out the rest of mutant kind. That's the crux of this issue. That's it for me. Handing it off to Roddykat.
Well, alrighty then. I was going to ask you, I assume this has nothing to do with that Sabretooth War, or nothing in this book has had anything to do with that yet. Okay.
Oh, I think they make mention of it.
Right.
They make mention of Sabretooth, so I think that's going to be a story plot point at some point in the pages of X-Force and Wolverine very soon before the Sabretooth War stuff starts.
Right. Gotcha. All right, first up for me, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Saturday Morning Adventures continued number 8. And boy, was this an issue, folks. So story by Eric Burnham, art by Sarah Meyer, letters by Ed Dukeshire, and colors by Luis Antonio Delgado. So if you did not know, this is in during the time of the animated series, the 80s animated series, the original 80s animated series, just for clarification, because I know there's been a few different turtle shows lately. So this is the book that goes on in the world of that. And let's just say that the turtles are going, if you're watching the video version, you can see the cover. There is and Agent 70 will catch this reference, a Mixoplittle type character that they go up against. I'm gonna still call him Mixoplit because that's what I grew up doing, but I just had to try.
I know it's not Mixopitlick to us.
Exactly. So, but yeah, there is that character, and that is a character that did show up in the cartoon. In fact, this issue, that character references that episode that they show up in during the course of this issue. The funny part about it is the turtles are on trial from this character for doing things like breaking the fourth wall and such like that. But this character, being a Mr. Plick-esque character, feels above all of that, and they kind of get rid of him in a way that one might, without having to do the whole backwards name thing. They get rid of him in a kind of a similar way that one would get rid of a Mitsopitlik. So yeah, it's and also one of the turtles, Raphael, is pretty much done with tropes. So it was an amusing episode or issue all the way around for all of that. Next up for me is Duke, number 1 of 5 from Skybound Entertainment and Image. Written by Joshua Williamson, art by Tom Riley, colors by Jody Belair, and letters by Russ Wooten. This is another potential click of the week for myself. And I start off my note saying, didn't you read this rap sheet? Man of Action, which is also the title of this issue, because of course you have to have that in here. So this takes place after Duke's cameo appearance in the most recent Transformers issue. But it does start off with, of course, people getting familiarized or re-familiarized with Duke's accomplishments in this particular version of him. This is not a real American hero version, but it's still Duke nonetheless. So from that, Hawks wants to put him back in command, but because of the fact that Duke's like, nah, I just saw a plane turn into a freaking robot. Somebody's going to listen to me. I need to find some answers. Hawk's like, nah, maybe you need to take some time off. Now, we don't know whether Hawk knows more than he's saying or whether he just doesn't believe him, but Duke being Duke was like, nope, I'm going to find out what's going on for myself. So he kind of goes off and do that. And he ends up running into some Cobra shit. That being more specifically, actually, some Cobra shit dealing with a certain metal masked second in command of Cobra, and that the business they're in. And of course, he runs afoul of trouble and kind of gets his way out of that, but also kind of causes trouble or comes into contact and causes trouble from a callback to the first issue of the Marvel G.I. Joe series, which was funnily enough a thing which I vaguely remember, but I've read as of recent. I was like, oh right, that's that character, which is furthering his investigation of thing. And at the end of this, because of Duke kind of getting into trouble, let's just say a proto version of the Joes are formed in order to bring him in. Or what could very well be the Joes, the version of the team of Joes that we're going to see in the book whenever it comes out next year. So this was actually a double-sized book. It doesn't say that, but this was like 43 issues, 43 pages in this, as opposed to the standard 23. So they really wanted to kind of start this out on the thing. I don't know if the rest of the series is going to be that way, but it started off with enough meat in it, as I'll say, to kind of get people curious. And also, I think they still had the Cobra Commander preview in here, which I think is next off the bat. Anyway, next up for myself is actually my last book, and that is Green Arrow number 7 of 12. So yeah, we found out recently, I think we talked about last week, that it was supposed to be a miniseries, a 6-issue miniseries, but they expanded it to 12. So this is also written actually by Joshua Williamson with art by Carmine Giandomenico, and Trevor Hairsine, with colors by Romulo Fajardo. Wow, there's a lot of typos here. Fajardo Jr. and letters by Troy Pateri. Not with VC at this particular with this particular book, because that's a Marvel thing. Either way, there is a page before the story starts about a new a Zod book that's coming next week. So I wanted to kind of make sure to put that out if anybody's interested in that. Yeah, Zod's going to have a DC book, folks. Was it going to be in it? Who knows? But it says it's going to be brutal. Regardless, Ollie gets a new suit and a new car because of what's been going on in the last arc of the stuff. So after the Justice League was lost in time or got killed or whatever the hell happened back then, Ollie didn't exactly come back with them. In fact, he got shunted off to something else, and that was the last 6 issues kind of dealt with. So now he's back and found out that the Justice League have disbanded and that the Titans have taken over those duties, and he's just kind of been going around in this issue trying to figure out, well, why did that happen? What happened? Why happened? Basically, kind of situation. And we also find out that Ollie kind of does a thing that Batman would have done that would probably is going to end up in trouble and will probably end up getting him revisiting, which Batman does show up and to kind of talk to him in it, but they may end up linking back up again based on something that happens here. And at the end of the issue, we get a villain that is apparently a Green Arrow villain that one Kevin Smith made up for his book that has shown up here and there. That only speaks in sound effects, basically. You will probably know who I'm talking about with that. What will they have to do with this book? Guess we'll find out next issue, but probably won't be good for Ollie. And that, folks, is it for me. Kliqs of the week.
Kliqs of the week.
I don't know if I just.
I think I'm going to piggyback yours because I'm going to go with Avengers Inc. #4.
Huh. I actually hadn't landed on that yet, but cool. All right. So
only because I think that's probably the most fun I had reading a book this week. Because everything else, I really liked Sensational She-Hulk #3 until I saw the name of the villain, and I was like, ugh. Timeless, and everything else was kind of meh this week for me. So I'm down with Avengers Inc. #4.
Right. Yeah, I mean, Timeless is what it normally is. Like, even if it is a different set of writers, it's still pretty much, hey, this is what we're going to be dealing with in the next year type stuff. So you just get a whole lot of stuff that you're just curious about and don't know when it's going to pick up. Well, some of it we do definitely know it's going to pick up, but the little ones, that's not. So for myself, I'm actually teetering between Avengers Inc. #4 and Duke #1 or 5, believe it or not. Like I said, this version of Duke seems slightly different from the pages of Real American Hero and probably the other IDW stuff, but not actually far off. Because I mean, they don't really go that far away from his general characterization. Like, hey, he sees something wrong, he's gonna jump into the shit. The only wrinkle they have here is like, yeah, he's kind of denied promotions, which sounds like a thing Duke would do, so that they could stay kind of within, with the grunts, so to speak, or whatnot. And to kind of mention that here. But yeah, She-Hulk was also okay. Yeah, you know what? Since Agent 70 covered the ground that I probably would have done if he had not mentioned it, I'm going to go with Duke #1 of 5.
There it is,
folks, and that is our Kliqs of the week. Can we get an ad read?
All right, our first ad read of the night is for Wink, the personalized wine club. Wink is a world of wine delivered right to your door. From rosé to Cabernet to Torronté, Wink has over 100 styles of wine to discover. Ever try an orange wine? Wink connects you to a world of exclusive wines tailored to your taste and delivered directly to your door. Wink delivers 4 bottles of wine to you every month with free shipping. You can pick your own bottles or let Wink choose and match to your taste. It doesn't cost a thing to become a member, and you can skip or cancel anytime. And now the listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles can enjoy an exclusive discount of $20 off your first order. So place your first order with $20 off, and to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us. cspn.us/wink. That's cspn.us/WINC. Wink wines through CSPN. Do it today. And now we get into the news.
Oh, God, I'm really going to hate editing this one. Cinematic news, folks. Cinematic news. This is what I'm going to be doing for the rest of the news, for the rest of the old year. Not really, but anyway. We start off with some Aquaman.
This is what we get for trying to start early.
Yeah, kind of, but not really.
Go on.
The Christmas box office for Aquaman 2 came in for the opening weekend. A some would say paltry $40 million debut, which as some have mentioned online is less than the Marvels. In fact, 7 million less than the Marvels opening weekend. So, and I believe, according to this article, makes it the fourth. Actually, this article also mentions the Marvel's 47 million, but yeah. Yeah, regardless. Well, according to this, it says debuted 28 million over the weekend and an estimated 40 million throughout the 4-day holiday weekend. There you go. So there was that. Then they mentioned some other movies, including the Iron Claw movie, which I keep hearing things about. And then it goes into the Marvels. So yeah, it says here that according to this article from Variety, it's shaping up to be the fourth of 4 DC movies this year to crumble at the box office. And they mentioned Flash, Shazam, and Blue Beetle.
Mm-hmm.
So, which, yeah, there is that. But hey, guess what? Aquaman is the end of the DCU as we know it until whatever that gun thing happens. So, whoa. Next up.
So, James Gunn announced or confirmed a key detail for Lex Luthor's look in Superman Legacy, which is James Gunn's movie. And basically, not a real spoiler, but Nicholas Hoult, who's going to be portraying Lex Luthor, is going to be at least bald at some point in this story.
Right, Quiz. I'm trying
Pretty much it.
Yeah, because I don't think they got around to that with the Jesse Eisenberg version.
No, they did.
They did? Or
They
well, I
did.
thought that was
Not
like I thought that was like a deleted scene or something.
I thought I thought he was bald when they finally got to like Justice League. No,
I don't recall that, or maybe that's maybe where.
Am I misremembering?
I don't know. Either way, it doesn't matter because all that stuff's in the wind anyway.
Exactly.
But of course, hey, you know what? Lex Luthor is bald. He's going to be bald here. So that's the takeaway. And some would say that should have been a no duh, but at the same time, you know what? We don't know what they're doing with stuff these days. So
right.
Can't. Next up, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s Natalia Cordova Buckley addresses potential MCU return as Yo-Yo. And I guess she was speaking with comicbookmovie.com, and said that she's explained how she doesn't want to be tied down to a major comic book franchise at this stage in her life, finding more interest in less restrictive indie films, which, you know, some would argue, well, I mean, yes, you know, say what you want about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I love it. Wouldn't necessarily call it major, but hey, quote, I'm completely satisfied. Yo-Yo is, you know, I choke up every time I talk about Yo-Yo. She is profoundly special to me as a person and as an artist. I got the perfect role at the perfect time with her. She built me up, and being part of such a huge franchise like Marvel, my grandfather was a huge comic book fan, and all the way, it was the beginning of my career in the United States. So basically, hey, you know, sounds like she's over it. She did that, been there, done that, and now she's over it. So, I like that character. She was cool. Anyway, next up.
All right, so apparently no one at Marvel really wanted Joss Whedon to create the series Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Ouch.
Yeah.
Ouch. Shots fired, yo. I mean, seriously.
Well, for the reason, though, but, yeah. It still stings.
Right. I mean, you know, okay. I liked Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. at first, but, you know, that was it.
I liked it. Well, so just to get into why is because they knew that Marvel knew that they were going to kill off S.H.I.E.L.D. in Winter Soldier, but they were basically like, "Hey, we're going to do this regardless, so you can go ahead and do it, but we're going to do this." And that was the only reason why that has come about,
right?
So, yeah, I liked Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. too. Like, I think I watched like the first 4 seasons, and it was still pretty good. But you can also see it was like, yeah, they're totally going away from, the attachment they had to the movies. So I every now and then I said I'm going to finish up that series just to see where they went to. Anyway, next up. Marvel Studios reportedly is developing a Disney Plus series focused on UK superheroes. I said on Twitter when I saw this article, hey, do a Faiza Hussein, because I would love to see Dr. Faiza Hussein. I would love to see a show about that character, because I enjoyed that. I like that character. But this article mentions Kit Harington's Dane Whitman could potentially show up here as the Black Knight in this. And then they mention the Sonya Fallsworth character from Secret Invasion, and also Amelia Clark's character.
Gaia!
Yes, Gaia. And according to this article, apparently Russell T. Davies, who is the showrunner for Doctor Who, was apparently asked to do the show, to develop the show. And it says here, quote, I got asked to showrun a British Marvel TV show, but they said, we can't tell you what it is. He says, to this day, I watched them and I can't work out which show that was going to be. Obviously planning to make a British Marvel show that I haven't seen. Has that happened? So, yeah, go figure. So again, this is a report, which means rumor, which means, and who's to say if this is ever actually going to happen. Next up.
All right. Amazon has started notifying Prime Video subscribers that they have to pay extra if they do not want their viewing experience interrupted by commercials. I haven't gotten this email yet, but I probably will.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, the email says it will start showing limited advertisements with its services, movies, and shows starting on January 29th. Those who want to keep their accounts ad-free will have to pay an extra fee of $3 a month on top of their Prime membership or their standalone $9 a month Prime Video membership. So I guess I need to finish watching Reacher before January 29th. I think will come out. Reacher Season 2 will come out and finish before then.
Yeah, but as Agent 70 said before the show, like we're on the hook. Most of the people who got Prime are on the hook, so they're going to pay it. Well, we're going to pay it regardless. Right.
I mean, if they're not big Prime Video people, then maybe they won't. Like, yeah. I'm not the biggest Prime Video person, but I'm a Prime person.
Right.
So I'm going to end up being a Prime Video person, maybe with commercials. We'll see if I get annoyed,
Which, as I recall, I mean, they got Freevee, so Freevee is pretty much Prime Video with commercials. If anybody's deal with that, so you kind of already get a sense of that. And I don't recall them being that terribly bad, even though I'm a Prime member, so I don't know. It could be because of that I'm not seeing that many of them.
Right.
Even though I have not signed into Amazon to watch Freevee a couple of times. I have definitely seen them, but I don't remember them being all that intrusive. But if it's anything like these other streaming services, it probably will be like 3 or 4 per hour or something. Regardless, it's $3 extra on top of whatever the standalone thing is now. And boy, oh boy, they're just going to keep doing this. Speaking of streaming services, Warner Brothers acquires... I told Agent 70 about this prior to the show. Acquires another streaming service. This one's called Blue TV, and it's from Turkey. Which also reminds me of Turkey TV, which I think was an old Nickelodeon show or MTV, one of the two. I don't remember. But regardless, I for some strange reason remember that show. I should probably put that in if that's what I'm thinking about. Yes, it is. I'm going to put that in that part. So, what are they doing here? We don't know. Warner Brothers Discovery, I don't think they know what the hell they're doing. But according to this, they're a 35% shareholder in the company. So I assume they have some content over there. And I guess this is serving that market. What it's doing for us over here in the States, don't know. Or whether we'll come back over here. I don't know. Anyway, next up.
Well, I guess we are in Anime Corner.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see.
And actually, let me put this in here while you're looking at that one.
The official website for the Detective Conan anime has been updated with a new trailer and new visual for the 27th movie of the franchise. Detective Conan, the $1 Million Signpost, is set to release in Japan on April 12th, 2024. So is Andy Richter there too? Oh no.
Boo. Just boo. Oh wait, I do have it in there. So why did
What about the masturbating bear?
Oh, God. I actually have seen Triumph Insult comic recently.
Yes, for me to poop on.
Yeah, I think it was on The View actually, and dry as ever. Anyway, yeah, so that's that. Next up, High Card Season 2 new trailer release. Yes, we did talk about this when we talked about the winter season. The Crunchyroll announces the winter season. I'm actually slightly curious about this show because it's poker themed, not probably different from Kakaguri, but regardless. And now that I have my Crunchyroll subscription kind of back in order for the time being, I might end up checking this out after I get caught up with other things that we were about to talk about in a couple of minutes. Next up.
So Digimon has announced its 25th anniversary celebration plans. So for 2024, Digimon took to social media at the end of 2023 to reveal the logo for Digimon's 25th anniversary with the following announcement teasing some big plans in 2024. Quote, Digimon animation series will celebrate its 25th anniversary on March 6th, 2024, and the anniversary logo has been unveiled. Okay. So to kick off the anniversary, an online event, Digimon Con 2024 will be held for Digimon fans all over the world. Okay. Good for you guys.
Digimon are the champion. Jujutsu Kaisen Season 3 officially announced. The arc is going to be called the Culling Game arc. I believe the last one was called the Shibuya arc.
The Shibuya Incident. Yeah.
Excuse me. This is Shibuya Incident. So the announcement was made just after the final episode of Season 2 in Japan, which means it was a couple of days ago. Or yesterday? No.
What's that? No, it's not the whatchamacallit.
Oh, was that
the final episode just dropped yesterday.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. So
yes.
So this is fresh off the press. Like I said, I haven't caught up yet, but I will be. Next up.
Yeah. Spy X Family or Spy Family Code White movie earns over 1.2 billion yen in the first 3 days. So, let's see. The film was released in 433 theaters in Japan nationwide and sold just over $8.59 million in ticket sales. So hopefully we will see this movie in the States very soon.
Yep, hopefully, and probably likely on Crunchyroll. Not a sponsor, just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, actually, it says here that Crunchyroll released an English sub trailer and key visual art for it, so that's pretty much assured.
Let's hope.
I know it actually says here, yeah.
Just in terms of the date, though.
Well, yeah, we don't have a date, but it's definitely saying that it's going to have the movie, though.
Yeah, hopefully it's not too far.
Yeah. Actually, wait.
Do we have any My Hero Academia stories in the upcoming manga section?
No.
All right. I just want to add, as we go into the manga section, I'm going to hit a transition and play something. from My Hero Academia because I am only 6 chapters left before I am absolutely positively caught up on the manga. So over the Christmas holiday, I did some traveling, and while I was traveling, I had a chance to crack my iPad open, make sure I downloaded some issues because it's annoying that you can't just download the whole run on your device. You know, they only limit you to a certain number and for a certain amount of time. But what are you going to do, right?
Library rules, yeah.
Say again?
Library rules, got it.
Exactly. So ultimately, the Shonen Jump app has proven to be very useful for me because as soon as I am up to date on My Hero, I'm going to jump over to Haikyuu and just read that all the way through. And then after that, I'm probably going to read Jujutsu Kaisen. And I know Demon Slayer is not that long, so maybe I'll add that as a story to read also.
And if you're keeping track, folks, of the Haikyuu count, yes, Agent 70 was actually watching an episode of the show before we recorded this episode.
Just for fun, because I miss volleyball. The holidays mean that, that league volleyball is on hold during the holidays. So, no games, no scrimmages, no open plays, no nothing.
So if you didn't think you were going to get your Haikyuu reference this episode, no, brothers and sisters and folks, you're definitely going to.
There you go.
Indeed. And now
I'm this close to buying a Figma Haikyuu figure for a lot of money just to put on my shelf.
Yeah, I mean that's the next logical step, honestly.
I'm like trying to undergo some retail therapy. I'm just like, I have been putting this off. I should be tracking prices on this. I've been putting this off,
Yes, but the stuff we've talked about in said retail therapy kind of has a range, especially with what you just said. That's a hell of a range.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, but this is, they're like this Figma character, Figmas are expensive and it's annoyingly so. So
yeah, but not as expensive as the other thing we talked about. But regardless,
yeah, exactly.
So, anywho's, Kakegurui, the aforementioned Kakegurui, compulsive gambler manga goes on hiatus for a few months because of, I believe this has something to do with the mangaka needing to take a break. January 2024 issues of Square Enix's Gangen Joker magazine announced on 2021 that the writer Humura Kawamoto and artist Toru Naomura Karaguru. I'm putting that together, folks. Compulsive Gambler manga will go on hiatus for a few months because, like I said, to prepare and recharge for the manga's new development. So basically, kind of what I said anyway. The manga will celebrate its 10th anniversary in 2024. So I had heard about the anime version of this, and I know then some people are kind of mixed on it. But I've actually heard some people that like it. So it is what it is on that. It's a curiosity, but not as much of a curiosity as that high card one that we spoke of earlier, which is slightly similar, being gambling focused. So, will I check it out? Probably at some point, but after I get caught up on some things. Next up.
All right, Bandai Namco Entertainment began streaming the opening movie for Spy X Anya or Spy Anya Operation Memories, a new game based on the Spy Family anime. So the game launched for Nintendo Switch in Japan earlier on December 21st. The game will then launch for PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4 in 2024. The PlayStation 4 version will be digital only. The game will launch in the West in 2024 for Switch, PS5, PS4, and PC. Okay, so this is like a daily life sim game. Players control Anya with the goal of completing a photo diary for homework and go gah!
Or a little bit of waka waka.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe take Bonda for a walk. All right.
Yes. Actually, I believe that is part of the case.
Yep.
If I'm not mistaken. All right, now we get into some Toy Corner news.
All right. I don't know if I have
You probably don't, but
a drop for that. I mean, you know what? At the end of the day, it's always going to be this one.
What's in the box?
sure, that works. McFarlane Toys launches the New Adventures of Batman retro figures. So there have been nothing but announcements upon announcements upon announcements from McFarlane Toys about the stuff that we've talked about, actually. But not this. So if you're watching the video version, you can see the wave here, which includes a Batman, a Robin, a Batgirl, Commissioner Gordon. All of this is in the style of Batman 66, but also the New Adventures of Batman from 1977, which is pretty much taken from off there, but probably a little bit more serious. Joker and a Riddler in this whole set. And 6-inch figures, McFarlane Toys. The prices are, each figure is $17.99 a piece. And looks like I guess pre-orders are out as we speak from places. Next up,
I was about to say, further down in the article, they mentioned that there is a Batman 89, a Batman figure, and Batmobile available for $75.
Wait, I thought we talked about that.
Yeah, no, but apparently it's sold out and been restocked a couple of times. Like, wait, it's actually kind of cool looking.
If you're watching the video version, you can see said figure that Agent 70 is talking about in that article. And yes, it does look fucking kind of rad.
That's pretty cool looking.
And
like the biggest Batman 89 person, but that's really cool. And that's not a bad price for like a figure and a vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
Like a decently sized vehicle too, you know?
Correct me if I'm wrong, you have that one or you have the Tumbler?
No. I have the animated series Batmobile.
Yes. Okay, which is not that, it's not this, but it's not far.
Oh, it's a lot bigger than this because
Right.
it's both a Batman and a Robin. This is like a single seat. This is like a budget version because this is like a single seater.
Right. And probably
Right. Mine is like
smaller.
a dual seater, has got like headlights and stuff. It's actually pretty cool.
Right. So yeah, that is actually pretty cool. I actually didn't see that because I didn't look that far down. But yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I just happened to scroll down the article. Anyway, next up in comic book news, Green Arrow gets an epic new costume and vehicle in issue number 7. So he's gotten some upgrades. And these are spoilers for this issue by Joshua Williamson and Sean Isaacs. So, oh my goodness, there's a...
Yeah, actually, I should have probably taken this one out of here because that's exactly the issue that I was talking about earlier. But
oh, that's kind of funny. That's an amusing looking vehicle,
right? But still, yeah.
Yeah, the fact that, spoiler alert, it's actually not green makes me laugh.
Right. So yeah, that was that was an interesting issue. Actually, it was it was close to being a potential click of the week for me because it was like, okay, I see what they're doing with this, but at the same time, I was like, yeah, here's what it is. So anyway, next up, though, speaking of Green Arrow, actually, I think this is also still, or maybe not. No, this is from something coming up. But yeah, Deal of a Lifetime, one of Justice League hero is about to portray his team with a major DC villain. In fact, I think some of this is actually going to be leading from that Green Arrow series because I do remember what's going on. The other side note that's going on in that series as I'm reading it. And say what you will about Amanda Waller. I don't know if I would call her a villain, but she definitely has played fast and loose with the law.
Right.
So, but yes, he's going to end up teaming up with Amanda Waller, and I think I know why, but I'm not going to give it away, even though it's a spoiler from, one, it's a spoiler for something that's coming up, but something that's kind of been teased in issue 6 of Green Arrow that he comes across that I was surprised that didn't get actually mentioned in this one, but in 7, which just came out. But like I said, I suspect that's going to lead up to that. And if you're watching the video version, you can see what I assume to be either the cover or a variant cover. That looks to be the cover of Green Arrow number 9 with Ollie and Amanda Waller shaking hands in front of a burning Hall of Justice. So I guess meanwhile at the Hall of Justice, it burns down. Yeah. Anywho's, next up.
Green Lantern lore changes forever with one animated character's comic debut. So Razor, a character that debuted in Green Lantern, the animated series, will make his debut in the DC Universe, hopefully to resolve a dormant cliffhanger. Okay, so this is in Green Lantern number 6. I don't know when this came out because it says spoilers for Green Lantern number 6.
I think that's last week.
Okay, last week it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been catching up with that book actually. DC's new Dark Knight Returns reference makes Frank Miller's Batman darker than ever. And this is spoilers for Batman 140. Which, Agent 70, did you read this or not? Or I think that might have been from this weekend. You probably didn't read it. I don't know.
No, Batman number 140. No, it was last week, I think.
It was last week. So you did read it though.
No, I didn't read it.
You did.
Sorry.
Okay. Well, no, that's fine because I know you possibly would have read it out of the two of us. But regardless, so yeah, I guess in that issue there was a reference to Frank Miller's Batman from the Dark Knight, and Batman's trying to get his mind together against Zur-En-R clones, according to this thing. So sure, okay. Next up.
Okay. Harley Quinn debuts her ultimate power. Goodness.
Spoiler alert. It's not that. It's not surprising what it is.
Yeah, I just haven't opened. I'm working on opening the article because I was looking at the summary. I was like, ooh.
Right.
So in Harley Quinn, Black and White and Redder, Harley's power level is way above any other DC character because she knows she's a DC character. Okay. So she's a meta character. She has a meta superpower. Very Deadpool.
Right. So, also shout out to Screen Rap for these summaries because that even though you're still doing a wall of paragraphs to get to the point, I do enjoy these summaries. So good on you. The end of the X-Men's Krakoa era begins in the fall of the House of X #1, and shout out to Tim, our boy Tim, who comes with us with a preview of Fall of the House of X #1. Wait, when is this coming out? I'm just gonna scroll past all of that to see if we can get a date. Scroll back all of that. I don't see where we have a date for this. Oh, here we go. January 3rd. So next week. So, and if you're curious about what's going to happen in that, hey, you can read the preview or wait till we talk about it next week because we probably will. Next up.
Oh, look at that. So wait, so
okay.
No. So Fall of the House of X #1 is out next week?
Yeah.
Nice. Because I did see that. I think that was one of the reasons why I mentioned that it's about to start in the new year because of the way the checklist reads and the way the the story's kind of not necessarily wrapped up, but definitely led to like kind of bigger things and resolutions in Immortal and X-Force this week.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next up, Marvel sets up the new Ghost Rider in the latest issue. So the road to hell is, of course, always paved with good intentions. But they talk about in this. I did skim this week's Ghost Rider, written by Benjamin Percy and penciled by Carlos Nieto. It's the end of an era and the beginning of a new one. Percy wraps up Ghost Rider volume number 10 and sets the stage for Ghost Rider Final Vengeance #1. So we're not 100% sure who the next Ghost Rider will be. So. But they're talking about Johnny Blaze finally kind of holding on, handing it off.
Right, again.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a little bit spoiler territory in these next couple of stories, but I know Agent 70 is going to be happy about the one he's about to read. A major Marvel villain is replacing Doctor Strange as the Sorcerer Supreme. This is from the pages of Timeless 2023 number 1. I feel like this is not a big surprise.
Again?
Right. Exactly. Because I feel like recent issues of Doctor Strange, much less the fact that I think this has happened before, kind of telegraph this in a way. So not surprising. But if you want to know who it is, and it's not Loki this time, by the way, but if you want to know who it is, hey, you can read the article for yourself, or hey, check out Timeless number 1 if you want to. Right,
flip through it. You'll see what you'll see what they're referencing.
Next up, from Timeless,
Marvel teases the return of a Guardian of the Galaxy. So, a former member of the Guardians of the Galaxy is primed for a larger role in the Marvel Universe. For fans curious as to what Marvel has planned, check out Timeless number 1.
And you wanna talk about who that person is? Although I feel like I don't remember this. I do remember, and I don't remember this person being a Guardian. Like a Guardian adjacent, definitely, but I don't recall them being a full-fledged member. Maybe of the rebooted version, obviously, but I don't recall.
Oh, is that what they're referencing? I wasn't sure. I was just like, wait a second, I don't remember seeing that. But okay.
Yep.
Oh, he's a member.
Yeah.
In the Abnett Landing.
Yeah. Okay. Wait, really? Oh, when because I know they changed the team a couple of times during that run. Yep. So okay. Which goes back to what I said. So okay, cool. Man, I wish we could have revisited that. Anyway, I know Agent 70 is happy about that.
And you know what? Because the Nova Corps is what it is in the MCU, right? Mm-hmm. They need to kind of give them a boost because they're a joke, in their current form. Because
it's pretty much still just him, right? Or did they actually kind of...
They never introduced him.
Well, no. I meant back
Xandar's been destroyed, remember?
Right. Yeah.
So in the wake of that seems like a good time to try to introduce like the reclamation of the Nova Corps,
Yeah, but I meant in like the books.
I see.
Yeah. So, but regardless,
yeah, books he was injured in the fight for Araco.
Right, but I think it's just still him. There is no Nova Corps at this point, right?
Right, that's my understanding. I'm sorry.
Right. Yeah. So, no problem. Last but not least, apparently, according to Joshua Williamson, Robert Kirkman was planning the Transformers reboot surprise years before anyone expected. So I guess the reveal in Void Rivals that the Transformers universe was a thing is what we're talking about here. Here's a quote. I remember from Joshua Williamson. I remember at one point in that conversation, Sean was like, "Oh wait, hold on." Oh, this was talking with Skybound's Sean Mekowitz about the potential for working with Hasbro 5 or 6 years ago with Skybound. And it says here that I remember at one point in that conversation, Sean was like, Robert had this idea of doing a creator-owned book, and then the last page is a twist. Oh, there's Transformers. And I was like, dude, I love that. That's so crazy. You should do that. And then we never talked about it again. And it happened because that's Void Rivals. So, funny how things work out, huh? Although it wasn't at the end of the book, it was in the middle of the book, and it was just kind of like, hey, this happened, pew. So that was the funny part about that issue. It was like, oh, okay, sure. Regardless, and apparently Joshua Williams thought it was going to be Firepower, which is the other Kirkman book that is creator owned. And I guess he kept thinking that every other time that Kirkman brought out a creator-owned book, thinking that was it. But like I said, we know what it is now. Yeah, there you go. And that, folks. I'll check this out for later. That, folks, is the end of the news section for us. Can we get one last ad read?
Our last ad read of the night and the last ad read for 2023 is help us keep our podcast free by shopping at Amazon. Visit cspn.us and click the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down and click on the Amazon link to shop. Purchase items from Amazon as you normally would, whether it's books, music, electronics, jewelry, apparel, or Marvel Legends. For every purchase made on Amazon through our link, Amazon sends the CSPN a payment that helps us keep the Comic Book Chronicles podcast free for our listeners at no extra cost to you. Amazon.com through CSPN.us. Do it today.
Folks, we've come to the end of another fine episode and the end of the episode count for this year, folks. This is the last episode of 2023. We will definitely be back in 2024, loud, proud, and strong, and all that kind of good jazz, and hopefully audio issue free.
We can only hope.
Well, everything.
The gremlins jumped up and bit us today.
They really did. I'm like, wait, I didn't change anything. So what happened? Regardless, that's a little behind the scenes that no one needs to care about. But, folks, I have been Roddykat. This you can find me at Roddykat on Twitter. You can find me at NewsNerdsNeed on Twitter. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram. Agent_70 on Twitter and Instagram. And Threads, excuse me. Can't forget the Threads. Yep. PC_dirt on Twitter, popculturenet and popculturenetwork.com, as all those umbrella sites they're in. And last but never ever least, Tim DOGG98 on Twitter, CBCron on Twitter, which is the Comic Book Chronicles Twitter account, the Kliq Nation on Twitter, that's TheKliq Nation, thekliqnation.com, and most and foremost, he is over at comicbook.com writing his face off. Some of his articles were in the show, like I said earlier. So yeah, go check man's out. You can find this here podcast on the Coastal of the Podcast Network. That's ESPN.us.
Do it today.
Which actually the audio version is out there for your perusal of the last show, which we did on Christmas Eve. And I think they put it out a couple of days ago. So yeah, that should be out there by the time you hear this, I guess. But like I said, also you can check this out on your podcast perusal place of choice, whether it be Google Play, Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Coastal of the Podcast Network SoundCloud page.
Make sure to click like, subscribe, and leave us all the positive 5-star reviews, especially on Apple Podcasts.
Oh dear, and I just seen something else that happened that should have happened. That's
bother.
Sucks. Okay, just give me more work. Why don't you, OBS? Thanks. Guess what, folks? Usually you can find us streaming every Thursday night, mostly on the YouTube channel of The Kliq Nation. That's youtube.com/TheKliqNation and twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles.
Make sure to click like, subscribe, and leave us positive reviews, and hit that notification button so you know when we are on live.
Yes. Yeah, so last show of the year. I hope you all have a wonderful new year, New Year's Eve and all that jazz.
Absolutely. Happy New Year. Safe and Happy New Year. And come on, folks, we always, we've been playing a particular sound effect, and I'm wondering where I put mine for this particular occasion.
Yeah,
and I'm wondering why I can't find it.
Yeah, and my sound board thing, I need to put that back on because it's one of the things I didn't. Otherwise, I would have also had that.
Yeah, I'm looking around. I'm like, what did I do with it? Oh no, why can't I find it? Well, you know what? We can always just do it live. Merry New Year!
There you go. Yes, folks. Have a happy New Year. Kick 2023 out with a bang. If you have your New Year's rituals, go for them. Just don't eat too much, whatnot. Or if you're just chilling, that's okay too.
Yep.
And with that, this has been the Comic Book Chronicles. Peace.
Peace. One.
Almost over, y'all. Jigger. I really stand.